Charles is all white. King and Queen Camilla beam in matching summery outfits as they are welcomed into Samoa with colorful ceremony reserved only for monarchs. The King and Queen have been honored in a loud and colorful Ava ceremony in Samoa today. King Charles was handed a bowl of a special drink made from the powdered roots of the treasured Ava plant, and ceremonially tipped a small portion on the ground, saying, "May God bless this Ava and La Manuia," meaning be prosperous. Their Majesties had arrived at the National University of Samoa for the traditional welcome ceremony, which had been moved inside to an open-sided fake after heavy rain throughout the morning in a police convoy. The Ava ceremony was hosted by the head of state of the independent state of Samoa, La Fiogaia Tuamalele Fano Valetoa Swalauvi II, and ceremonial attendants from Faleletai village. Today's is a special ceremony is reserved only for monarchs and a sign of great respect. Several hundred members of the village community were seated at the ceremony, with village elders, covered in tattoos, from their waists down to their knees as a symbol of the seniority, and roles sitting cross-legged on mats on the ground. The King and Queen were presented with ceremonial garlands known as lei on arrival. Charles was made of the dried fruit from the pandanus tree, while Camilla's was a floral garland. Men known as Taulalea from Faleletai village commenced the ceremony with the blowing of conch shells to signal the arrival of their majesties, and will formed a ceremonial guard of honor carrying large tutu, ceremonial staff which once acted as weapons. Two men in traditional dress acted as ceremonial attendants. Their Majesties walked to their seats in the marquee, accompanied by the head of state of the independent state of Samoa and his wife, Masiofo Fa'amasili Lainoff, which were on a raised stage. The ceremony began with a short symbolic debate amongst the orators, talking chiefs or tulafel, to decide who will lead the welcome oration. Large Ava roots were symbolically presented to the center marquee. These roots are not used in the ceremonial preparation of the Ava beverage, as dried and powdered root is used. The Ava was prepared for the king by the daughter of the chief, Lainafo Tuamalelufanu. Four attendants assisted with the filtering of the Ava drink through a sieve made of the dried bark of the fau tree. Whilst the beverage was being prepared, the Ava orator, or Tufuava, explained the reason for the ceremony, before announcing when the Ava was about to be distributed. All those present clapped slowly, according to tradition. The server then called out the names of the guests to be served, in order of precedence, before carrying the cup to the honored guests and presenting it with a sweep of their arm from right to left, to show the inner side of the forearm as a sign of respect. His Majesty was presented with the Ava drink, accepting it graciously before tipping a small amount onto the ground, saying, "May God bless this Ava and La Manuia, La Man Wie," which means be prosperous. Traditionally, the recipients either sip the ava or raise the cup in a symbolic gesture. The ava drink was also presented to the head of state and Prime Minister of Samoa. The ceremony concluded with the presentation of traditional gifts, which were received by villagers on their Majesties' behalf. Upon departure, their Majesties also met briefly with selected village chiefs and villagers involved in the ceremony. Ava holds a significant place in Pacific traditions, with its origins deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of the region. For centuries, ava, known in other Pacific countries as kava, has played a vital role in the rituals and celebrations of Pacific Islanders. It is not just a beverage, but a symbol of community unity and connection. The preparation of ava is a meticulous process, involving the careful pounding of the root into a fine powder before mixing it with water. This ritual is often performed in a communal setting, fostering a sense of unity and camaraderie among participants. Traditional embellishments to the ceremony are added for special guests of honor, hence the term ava fatupu, an ava ceremony for a king. Ava ceremonies take place on important occasions in Samoa, such as the bestowal of a chiefly title, the welcoming and bidding farewell of guests and visitors, or at significant gatherings and meetings. The ceremony includes speeches and the formal drinking of ava by both male and female participants. The ceremony is typically led by the high chief of the hosting village. It brings together participants in a spirit of harmony and enables the hosts to show deep respect for their guests. The ava beverage is made from the dried roots of the ava plant, Piper methisticum. It is prepared in a shallow bowl known as a tanoa, which is made from the wood of the ifalele tree, Intia bijiga. The ava ceremony is usually conducted with the hosts and their guests seated in a circle. The ava makers, almaga, are seated in the center of the circle. It is a great honor to be selected to serve as an almaga. Traditionally, all daughters of Samoan chiefs are taught to prepare ava, although both men and women may serve as almaga. When the beverage is ready, or as it is being prepared, the ava orator, tufuava, will explain the reason for the ceremony and announce that the ava is about to be distributed. All present clap loudly and slowly. The ava server, tatwava, stands and begins distributing the ava to each guest of chiefly rank, in a polished coconut shell cup known as a taua or ipu tau ava. At today's ceremony, the ava was only distributed to His Majesty, the head of state of Samoa, and the Prime Minister of Samoa. As the ava ceremony draws to a close, the guests of honor are traditionally presented with gifts. In today's royal ava ceremony, their Majesties were presented with a set of gifts known collectively as the Sua Fatamali, reserved for the most highly ranked chiefs. The queen wore a white tunic and palazzo trousers by Anna Valentine with goldfish earrings. King Charles looked particularly dapper in a bush jacket with trimming by Samoan School of Fine Art. Two men in traditional dress acted as ceremonial attendants, and one opened the proceedings welcoming the king and queen. He said, "The royal and traditional Aba ceremony, the highest protocol of respect in the Samoan culture in honor of Your Majesty's state visit to Samoa. A symbol of friendship, safe passage and journey and the collective spirit of commonwealth as one family." Thank you and God bless. A short symbolic debate amongst the orators, talking chiefs or tulafil, then began to decide who would lead the welcome oration. Large Aba roots were symbolically presented to the center marquee. For centuries, Aba, known in other Pacific countries as kava, has played a vital role in the rituals and celebrations of Pacific Islanders. It is not just a beverage, but a symbol of community unity and connection. The youngest daughter of the chief, Maria Lainafo Tuamaleleifano, 30, then began to prepare the Aba drink, which is made from dried and powdered Aba root is used. She has tattoos running from her thighs to her knees, which is considered a symbol of seniority. Maria prepared the drink in a shallow bowl known as a tanoa, which is made from the wood of the ifalele tree, and carefully pounded the root into a fine powder before being mixed with water. Four attendants, known as Aba makers or almaga, assisted with the filtering of the Aba drink through a sieve made of the dried bark of the fau tree. It is a great honor to be selected to serve as an almaga. Whilst the beverage is being prepared, the Aba orator, Tufuava, explained the reason for the ceremony and announced when the Aba is about to be distributed. In response, all those present began to slowly clap. The server will then call out the names of the guests to be served, in order of precedence. As a sign of respect, the server will carry the cup to the guests and present it with a sweep of the arm from right to left, to show the inner side of the forearm to the guest. The Aba drink was presented to the king in a coconut shell. Accepting it, he tipped a small onto the ground, saying, "May God bless this Aba and Lamanuia," which means be prosperous, before taking a sip. The Aba drink was similarly presented to the head of state and Prime Minister of Samoa. Two women then bowed before presenting their majesties with ceremonial garlands, known as lei. The king's was made of the dried fruit from the pandanus tree and the queen's was a beautiful floral garland. Traditional gifts, known collectively as the Sua Fatamali, were presented to the villagers on behalf of the king and queen, in a sign that the ceremony had come to an end. A butchered pig was also presented, but that will be gifted back to the village. Ava ceremonies take place on important occasions in Samoa, such as the bestowal of a chiefly title, the welcoming and bidding farewell of guests and visitors, or at significant gatherings and meetings. Traditional embellishments to the ceremony are added for special guests of honor, with the one held today known as the Ava Fatupu, an Ava ceremony for a king. Upon departure, their majesties will also briefly meet selected village chiefs and villagers involved in the ceremony.